Okay guys, so here we are back in the kitchen doing yet another video on the Tamiya's TT01 and TT02. As you can see, I'm not too professional still, as I'm still adjusting the tripod as I'm speaking to you, but they'll be done in just a second. So in this video I wanted to focus on some positives and negatives between TT01E and TT02. This one's slightly upgraded, but we'll ignore those parts and just imagine that they're normal in terms of the build. I've just completed this one and I've had this one for some time now, so I think I know what I'm talking about. If we look at the positives, and particularly you can see a lot of blue bits here that have been upgraded due to the TT02 steering. I feel like the TT01E certainly has better steering links, what you can see here, and I just love the way this is attached to the steering, to the body stiffener here. So that goes down into the steering link here, as you can see, and then it has these really solid looking steering arms, which is just amazing. The servo saver is still quite weak, so that's something that I would replace right away. But in terms of the steering setup, this one wins hands down. When we come on to the servo itself, since we're speaking about it, I've never really liked these TT02, if that will just focus. I've never really liked this TT02, the way the servo's attached. You can see the huge gaps in there, a gap in here, so you can never really center it yourself unless you buy an upgrade. Now when we look at the TT01E, if I just go down and get some of these cables out of the way, you can see that that actually fits quite nicely. Yes, it does have a gap, but it has a gap on both sides, which you can't see now, the gap on the other side. But that it just fits in much straighter, less room for error when it comes to centering your servo, so that just looks amazing. In terms of the rear, the cars are both very much the same. The differential cover, of course, it's different in terms of how it fits. On the TT02, the diff cover goes on top, and on TT01E goes from the back. So they're both very easy to attach and very easy to assemble. When it comes to the TT02, one of the points that I would give it, that I felt this car, which even though it's my first Tamiya that I've built, I felt like it was much easier to assemble. There was less screws, less different type of screws that you've had, so that was really good. The engine cover, or the motor cover, and the shaft cover as well, that's pretty much the same, so no huge differences there. And in terms of some of the differences as well, you can see that the Tamiya TT01E does come with the stickers already, whereas on the TT02 I've had to add those stickers myself. So that's another difference that we've had there. Of course I don't have the cover on this one, but it does come with it, so you will have pretty much the same item as what you have here. I've not weighed the cars yet, but we'll get the scales out and weigh them in a second. But if we focus on some of the kind of negatives now, and I think I'll have to zoom in slightly to show you that. So this is a very slow zoom. But if you have a look in here on TT01E, this one is certainly built for the old style NIM batteries, or whatever they're called, the lead batteries basically. So not so much for running them with the lipos. So in case you did want to run the lipos, you'd probably have to Dremel these bits out here and then make sure that the battery will actually fit in. Whereas on TT02 the battery fits as standard, so if I just position the camera here, the battery fits as standard, so there's no issue there. There's no any of that kind of old school battery styles. Well, people still use them, I guess, but it just depends what you want and what you prefer. In terms of the chassis brace, I really do like that this one does have one. I didn't feel that the car wasn't stiff enough or anything like that, but It's a nice item to have. It protects the servo, the motor, especially if you plan to use these cars in a rally kind of environment and the outdoors. One thing that I feel the TT02 also wins on, it's this front part, the way it's been done. So you can see just like a bigger gaps here. There's only a small gap here. Again, big gap and big free space around the servo. Whereas around on TT02, that all looks much compressed. There's also these, like, I guess, frame support that holds the bolts for the steering arms down here. So there's just a lot of kind of axes they give out, sorry, just here and here. They give out the additional support and stiffness to chassis. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I just know it's very much more difficult to heal, to clean. In terms of how it looks now, I would say, and just looking at it now, it probably does warrant some extra stiffness and durability of the chassis. So it might actually be a good thing in terms of having it there. Apart from that, if this will just focus, everything is pretty much the same. This one will come with a Subaru chassis. This one's on a McLaren, body shell. So no huge differences. The engine's the same. The ESC is the same, 70 amp Carson. Both can be configured to both NIMH and the LiPos. We'll see how they last. I mean, I would have preferred if they were 1060 hobby wings, but of course that might be well, I don't know whether they were out of stock. They're just not supplying them anymore with them, these kits. And that's really it. Not too many great differences. What I've noticed around the wheel hubs is it's all very much the same, the way it attaches. One of the differences when we think about the differential is also the this differential here has metal gears inside, whereas the TT02 has the plastic ones. So that's just something to note. I don't think it makes a huge difference. I think the durability of both parts will be on par. Quite possibly, I think metal on plastic, it could be a little bit less durable, but I don't think in a grand scheme of things it does make any difference when it comes to the performance of the car. Possibly slightly the way it sounds because they're metal parts, but apart from that, not really too much in it. And I think that's all for this quick and short video. Apart from which one, if I had to buy another one, of course, which one I would go for now. It's really hard to say. I really love some of the positives that we've discussed on the TT01E, such as all this extra space here. I like the body is actually cut here, even though you'd have to Dremel these bits out in order to keep the LiPos in there. I like the metal gear differentials. I like the chassis support as well and stiffeners around it. However, yeah, there's nothing absolutely wrong with the TT02 in its stock form. I feel like it's a little bit easier to build, easier to put together. The steering links are definitely not good. That's where they've been replaced here, as well as the servo saver, and I think this servo saver as well could do with an upgrade. But apart from that, I mean, just go with whichever body shell you prefer. There isn't a whole lot in these cars, and if you wanted to put metal gears in the TT02 on the differential, you can do it as well. So really not a whole lot differences there. So I would just base it off of the body shell, and if I really wanted to spend more time racing, I would slightly lean towards TT01E, although as I've said, I will be running this one, the TT02, so nothing wrong with that. Same engine, same ESC, same motor, so absolutely perfect car as well. So it's really down to you, your choice. I mean, if anything, I would give this one, you know, I don't know, 9 out of 10, and this one would be like 8.9 out of 10. So not a whole lot in these two cars, in my opinion at least. But let me know down in the comments if you feel like I've missed anything, and stay tuned for more videos racing about the Tamiya TT02 that I'll be running. I might be getting one of these as well soon myself, so who knows. But thanks all for watching, and I'll see you soon.